You ever sit there staring at your backlog thinking, man, I don't have 80 hours to save the world right now? Yeah, but guess what? Not every RPG needs to eat your entire month. Today, we're diving into 7 short RPGs that hit hard, don't overstay their welcome, and might just become your new favorites. Whether you've only got a few hours to spare or just want a complete story without grinding for days, this list is for you.
He was going to show all of them what he was made of, if nothing else.
Tales of Iron is one of those games that sneaks up on you. At first glance, it looks like a charming 2D indie with hand-drawn visuals and talking animals. But don't be fooled. This game is brutal, gritty, and absolutely unrelenting. You play as Reggie, the heir to the Rat Throne, trying to reclaim your kingdom from a vicious clan of frogs that have turned your home into a war zone. The combat is where it really shines. It's heavily inspired by Souls-like mechanics. So, you can't just mash buttons and hope for the best. You've got to read your enemy, time your dodges, parry attacks, and manage your stamina like your life depends on it. Because it does. Heavier armor gives you more protection but slows you down, while lighter sets let you dodge quicker but leave you wide open if you mess up. And the weapons? Each one changes the way you fight completely. Swords are balanced, axes hit like a truck but take forever to swing, and spears give you reach for a more defensive playstyle. On top of that, when you wear enemies down, you can finish them off with brutal executions that are as satisfying as they are savage. Outside of combat, there's a solid layer of depth that keeps things interesting. You can unlock and upgrade your gear using parts looted from enemies or found in hidden spots around the world. And there's also a cooking system where you prepare meals to heal between fights. The map isn't just a straight line either. It's full of shortcuts, secret areas, and optional side quests with characters that feel like they actually belong in this war-torn world. And the whole thing is tied together by the gritty, gravel-filled voice of Doug Cockle, the same guy who voices Geralt in The Witcher, giving every moment that extra weight, like he's telling a bloody bedtime story meant only for grown-ups. And the game doesn't drag things out. You can see just about everything it has to offer, even hit 100% completion in around 11 hours. Imagine mixing classic JRPG charm with a modern indie heart, and that's exactly what you get with Arafel. This game feels like it was handcrafted by someone who grew up loving games like Chrono Trigger and Lunar, then decided to make their own love letter to that golden era. The pixel art is gorgeous, the world is vibrant, and there's this relaxing yet mysterious atmosphere that keeps pulling you in. You play as Lita, an archer with a sharp tongue and a stubborn streak, caught in a battle far bigger than she ever imagined. The game's world is literally floating islands in the sky, and exploring them feels magical. You'll find hidden paths, clever puzzles, and secrets tucked into every corner. Instead of grinding for XP and leveling up the old-fashioned way, everything here feels way more focused. You upgrade your characters using special items you find along the journey. And each party member also has a unique skill tree, so you can shape their abilities to match your playstyle, even in a game that doesn't drag on. Combat sticks to that classic turn-based formula, but with way more depth than it first lets on. You'll need to think about buffs, debuffs, turn order, and how your party members play off each other. It's not just about spamming attacks, especially when bosses show up and force you to use everything you've got. But the real surprise is the writing. It's witty without being cheesy, emotional without being melodramatic. And since it's a short game, the pacing stays tight from start to finish. You can wrap up the whole adventure, including all the side quests, in under 20 hours, making it the perfect weekend RPG to dive into and actually finish.
They're putting up more of a fight than we figured, boss.
Most RPG fans know the Star Ocean series for its sci-fi flair and anime-style characters, but not everyone realizes it all began with a small but ambitious title called Star Ocean First Departure. Originally released on the Super Famicom, and later remade for the PSP, This entry blends traditional fantasy with spacefaring tech in a way that still feels unique today. You start off in what seems like a typical medieval world, only to be thrown into a galaxy-hopping adventure with spaceships, interstellar diseases, and planets that feel frozen in different eras of history. The combat in Star Ocean First Departure is fast, chaotic, and super satisfying once you get the hang of it. It's real time, so instead of waiting your turn, you're actively running around the battlefield, dodging hits and launching special attacks. You can swap between party members mid-fight, and the AI handles the rest, which keeps things moving at a great pace. But what makes this game shine isn't just the twisty plot or its fast-paced real-time combat. It's the freedom it gives you to shape your party and approach to battle. You've got a flexible skill system that let you build each character however you want, from raw damage dealers to support-focused weirdos. There's also a surprisingly deep crafting system that uses individual talents like cooking, writing, or even composing music to create useful gear or just random stuff that adds personality. On top of that, there are private actions in towns where you split up the party and trigger little side events with each character. These moments actually matter, since they affect who grows closer to who and which endings you can get. And speaking of choices, you can't recruit everyone in a single run. Depending on what you do, some characters will join while others won't, which gives each playthrough a different vibe. It's surprisingly deep for a game that can be finished in under 20 hours. The remake also brought in redrawn character portraits, full voice acting, and improved visuals that make it way more accessible for modern players. Zone of the Enders, the second runner, throws you straight into the cockpit of a high-speed orbital frame called Jehuti. And from the moment you take off, the pace barely lets up. This isn't some slow, methodical mech sim. It's all about lightning-fast movement, flashy aerial combat, and ridiculously smooth controls that make you feel like a total badass the second you get the hang of it. Every fight feels like controlled chaos in the best way possible. Jehuti can dash, slash, block, and blast with almost no downtime, and the way you zip through enemies in midair never gets old. The lock-on system keeps things fluid even when you're surrounded, and the mix of melee strikes and long-range lasers lets you stay aggressive without ever losing momentum. And then there are the boss fights. Massive cinematic showdowns that throw everything at you, from bullet hell barrages to one-on-one duels that feel like mech-sized sword fights. The game never gives you time to zone out, and that's exactly what makes it so addictive. But what really makes it stand out, though, is how short and focused the experience is. You can blast through the main story in under 6 hours, and yet it manages to pack in huge cinematic set pieces, tight boss fights, and a surprisingly emotional narrative. It also helps that the game looks and sounds incredible, especially in the HD remaster. The remaster doesn't just sharpen the visuals, it smooths out the frame rate, cleans up the interface, and brings a new layer of polish that makes everything feel modern, without messing with the original vibe. Textures are way crisper, effects like explosions and energy blasts pop more on screen, and the lighting got a solid upgrade. Even the sound mix feels tighter, giving the whole thing more punch. And if you're on PC or PS4, there's even a full VR mode, which turns the cockpit view into one of the most intense mecha experiences you can have without leaving your room.
I'll be close.
Quick pause here. Just a reminder that this is part 2 of the series. I'll leave the playlist link down in the description and in the card at the end, so you can easily catch up or rewatch part 1 if you missed it. And hey, if you've got ideas for part 3, drop them in the comments. I'm always up for digging into more hidden gems. Comments also help the algorithm do its thing and keep the channel going with new videos. And yep, I check and reply to every single one. And if you're enjoying this so far, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. It costs nothing, unlike everything else in life. Back in the late 90s, a weird little RPG came out that didn't follow any of the usual rules. No giant world-ending threat, No chosen one, no strict path to follow. Just 8 totally different characters with their own stories, living in a massive sci-fi universe that feels more like a patchwork of wild ideas than a traditional game world. That game was Saga Frontier. And now, with the remastered version, it finally gets the attention it always deserved. Saga Frontier Remastered brings back all that chaotic charm, but with a much-needed layer of polish. It's got redrawn visuals, faster battles, and even an entirely new scenario that was cut from the original game. The combat might look like your typical turn-based setup at first, but it goes off the rails really fast. Instead of just grinding levels, characters pick up new moves mid-fight based on what actions they're using, which makes every battle feel a bit like improv. Some races absorb enemies, others rely on gear, and humans just kind of grow in whatever direction you push them. Then there's the combo system, where chaining abilities together with perfect timing unleashes massive team attacks that feel chaotic and incredibly satisfying when they land. Also, before battles, you can rearrange your team into different layouts, and each one comes with its own quirks. Some boost defense, others help with speed or increase the chance of triggering combos. It's the kind of mechanic that feels optional at first, but once you start messing with it, you realize how much it can shift the flow of a tough encounter. But what makes this game special is how it gives you total freedom. You pick one of several protagonists, and from there, the game stops holding your hand. You can travel to cities, dungeons, and even space stations in whatever order you want. And because each character's story is so different, ranging from classic revenge plots to off-the-wall superhero drama, it feels like playing 8 games in one. But even with all that variety, each campaign is surprisingly compact, and you can usually wrap up a full run in under 14 hours.
Is King Jason. How far he has come.
Rise of the Argonauts is a Greek mythology-inspired action RPG where you step into the sandals of Jason, the guy from the classic myth who goes after the Golden Fleece. But here, it's not just about sailing around and fighting monsters. The game reimagines the myth with a heavier emotional punch as Jason's quest starts after the assassination of his wife. And what follows is more personal, more grounded, and surprisingly raw. The combat is real-time and feels more like an action game than a traditional RPG. You've got 3 main weapon types to switch between on the fly: a sword for balance, a spear for reach, and a mace for raw power. Each weapon has its own feel and flow, and learning when to use which one adds a nice layer of strategy. The best part is how the game keeps the screen clean. There's no cluttered HUD or damage numbers flying everywhere. Instead, you have to read the fight, rely on animations, and feel the impact of every hit. Another cool twist is how the game handles progression. Instead of grinding for XP, you earn favor with the gods by doing things that align with their values. If you fight fiercely and show no mercy, you'll get points with Ares. If you act with wisdom or diplomacy, that leans more toward Athena. And these choices aren't just for show, they unlock different abilities and shape how Jason grows throughout the game. So every dialogue choice, every combat style, and even how you handle quests feeds into this mythological system that actually changes your build in a meaningful way. Along the way, you also recruit legendary heroes like Hercules, Atalanta, and Achilles, each one bringing their own combat style and personality to the team. And they're not just there to swing weapons. They'll chime in during conversations, challenge your decisions, and even shift the tone of certain story beats. The game doesn't make you babysit them with gear or stats, which keeps things simple. But their presence adds a lot to the world building and makes every mission feel like a proper mythological adventure. And the best part? You can wrap up the whole thing in under 15 hours. It's tight, focused, and never drags. Perfect if you're between massive RPGs and just want something satisfying to reset your brain before diving into your next 100-hour grind. Undertale is one of those games that flips everything you know about RPGs on its head. It looks like a simple retro-style indie game at first, But under that surface is a layered experience that's emotional, clever, and constantly surprising. You play as a kid who accidentally falls into the underground, a world full of monsters that were banished there after a war with humans. Instead of just hacking and slashing your way through like most RPGs, you're given the chance to talk, joke, or even show mercy. The combat system mixes turn-based RPG mechanics with bullet hell-style dodging. When enemies attack, you control a small heart inside a box and have to weave through patterns of projectiles to avoid damage. And on your turn, you can choose to fight or interact through the act menu, sometimes by complimenting, teasing, or even dancing. But what really makes Undertale shine is its writing. Every line feels intentional, sometimes hilarious, sometimes heartbreaking, and sometimes both at once. The characters have distinct voices and personalities that stick with you long after the credits roll. But one of the wildest parts of Undertale is how the game remembers what you do, even if you reload a save. Choices you thought were erased can come back to haunt you later, and certain characters will act differently if you try to undo something. It creates this weird tension where the game feels alive, like it's watching you. The soundtrack also deserves a shout-out. It's packed with memorable tracks that somehow match every moment perfectly, whether you're in a goofy interaction or facing one of the game's intense boss fights. And since you can experience most of what the game has to offer in under 12 hours, there's really no excuse not to give it a shot. Hey guys, I'm dropping the link to the full playlist right here on the screen. So if you want even more awesome recommendations, you know exactly where to go. And don't forget to help your buddy Sage by subscribing to the channel, leaving a comment on each video, and checking out the deals on Instant Gaming.